So, I hope all of you today has energy to listen my talk, because my talk is related to energy, and today I will convince you why life needs energy and what are the renewable energy sources which we need for our future, and how nanotechnology can help us to achieve those resources and can help us to sustain life on this planet. I'm a nanotechnologist, so most of my life and time I spent in the Gates Group at Simon Fraser University to prepare nanotechnologies that can reshape the future of humankind. So, today I will show you one example. So, in my hand I'm holding a piece of future technology that will positively impact humankind and each one of you listening today. This piece of technology has a very thin layer of material known as perovskite, and this material has capacity to capture the sunlight and can convert sunlight into energy. But we cannot see the individual building block of this material with our naked eye, because they are too small to see, and we need very powerful microscopes to see the ingredients in this thin film of material. So, this is the power of material which are too small to see, but they have a huge impact on our lives. These materials they call nanoscale material, and as a nanotechnologist today I will give you little insight what is nanotechnology. So, nanotechnology is a science of nano objects which are too small to see with naked eye, and they usually have size around 1 to 100 nanometer in this range. Okay, so what's nanometer? Just to give a comparison of nanometer with different objects, coronavirus is larger than nanoparticles. The size of a coronavirus is approximately 150 nanometer. On the other hand side, if you take a sheet of paper and you compare the thickness of that sheet with nanoparticle, one sheet of paper is 100,000 times thick than one nanoparticle. So, you can imagine these materials are very small, but they may have a huge impact on our lives. Okay. Because these materials are small, so we can manipulate their composition just by tuning atom by atom. So, what happens? We are manipulating the physical cosmos. Like biological cosmos, our DNA, we can change the code of DNA. Similarly, in the physical cosmos, we can change the composition just by tuning the patterning of atoms, and we can make whatever we want, and we can tune the efficiency of these materials. But today, I'm not here to give a lecture on nanotechnology. Today, I'm here to give you some insight how nanotechnology can reshape the future of humanity and how it can impact our lives. But I hope every one of you here has different definition of life. I'm a scientist. For me, Bucky Fuller gave very nice definition of life. He said, life is an anti-entropic phenomena. Life wants to move away from entropy. And what is entropy? Entropy is a randomness, it's a chaos, and it's the disorganization of the things in the universe. It wants to break life, it wants to break things and want to disintegrate them. But life, it wants to move away from entropy toward stability, toward organization, and toward self-assembly. We human beings, we are also a self-assembly of atoms, of organs, of cells and tissues. Atoms and molecules, they are everywhere. They are around us, but because they are very random, so they have no entity. They have no significance in our life. But when those atoms and molecules, they combine together and they make cells, and those cells, they make tissues, and those tissues make organs. And when those organs place themselves at certain point in our body, we become a human being. And this is called self-assembly. And to stay in the human being form, we need energy. We use energy in the form of food. We are energy consuming machines. Similarly, our societies, our cities, our countries, they're also self-assembly of structures. We make them to sustain life on this planet. But to sustain everything on this planet, even in our body, we need energy. So I can simply say energy is equal to life. The question arises, since hundreds of years, where we are getting energy? So we are using certain type of fuels which called fossil fuels. These are carbon-based fuels, and we are using them to sustain our life on this planet for our transportation and for our other needs. But we know that these fossil fuels, they are carbon-based. They have two major problems. Number one, they are not continuous, mean they are not renewable. They will finish soon. Okay. So when they will finish soon, we cannot sustain life on this planet. So according to United Nations Environmental Program, our energy demands will double by 2050. And because these energy sources, they are not sustainable, so what will happen? We will consume them more and more and they will finish, and after few years we will not have energy to sustain on this planet, and then we will go toward entropy. Okay, this is one problem. Second problem, because these energy sources, they are not renewable, and also they have carbon in their structure. So what happens when we use them? We generate a gas called carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas. This gas, it causes global warming on our planet, and global warming, it leads to climate change. So when climate will change, so temperature will rise, what will happen? According to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, if 2 centigrade temperature will rise on our planet, our water bodies will start evaporating. And then we will have scarcity of water. And also we will have heat waves which will kill many living organisms on this planet. So this is the detrimental effect of global warming and climate change. So we have few years left to mitigate these problems. Okay, but what's the solution? Because we want to sustain on this planet. So what's the solution? What we should do? You know, nature always gave a solution. Nature has a sustainable cycle, very nice cycle. But we human beings, we disturb that cycle with our activities. Like we use these non-renewable energy sources too much, we generate carbon dioxide, we are consuming natural resources, and we have overpopulation problem. So these all things, they are affecting our lives, and it's disturbing the sustainable cycle. So what we should do? Nature still gave us some energy sources which are renewable, they're continuous. And if we have capacity, we can use these energy sources for billions of years to fulfill our demands. There are many sources, but today I will just talk about one source. It's solar energy. Sun, it generates enough amount of energy that if we capture it, it can fulfill our needs for billions of years. So I just can give you one example. In 1 hour, sun generates enough amount of energy which all human beings can consume for 1 year. So this is the amount of energy which we have. So question arises, if we have this amount of energy, why we are not using this energy to fulfill our demands? Why? I can give you a very eye-opening data which came out in Forbes magazine, and it's data by Robert Rapier. He said that in 2019 mean last year, more than 70% of our energy demand was fulfilled by fossil fuel, mean we use oil, coal, and natural gas, and they are all carbon-based fuels, and we generated more carbon dioxide in our environment. So still we have sun energy, but we are not able to capture that energy, and we cannot use it for our needs. Why? What's the reason behind it? Reason is our technology. although we are advanced in many fields, but our recent technology, which is based on silicon solar cell, it has only 30% efficiency. It cannot capture 100% sunlight, and it cannot convert 100% sunlight into energy which human being can use. Because of that limited efficiency, we cannot fulfill our demands. So then question arises, why? Because these materials, we cannot tune their efficiency. They're very rigid. We cannot make them flexible, and we cannot use them everywhere because they need certain environment to sustain and work. So when I started my PhD, I thought what I can do to make human life better. So I started working on a new material called perovskite. This material, it has also ability to capture sunlight and can convert sunlight into electricity. Because we prepared this material at nanoscale, so I can tune its composition atom by atom, and I can tune its efficiency. So in 10 years, many scientists all over the world, they are able to beat the efficiency of traditional silicon-based solar cell with these perovskite materials. And because these materials at nanoscale, so we can coat them on flexible substrates, and we can also make wearable devices. So as we walk, we can recharge our cell phones, we can recharge our laptops, and we have a rechargeable world with the help of sun and these materials. And because these materials, we can tune their efficiency, so many groups in the world, they are working on these materials to enhance their capability. But we have perovskites, we have everything, but still these materials will not fulfill 100% energy demand tomorrow. Why? Because they still need more work. They have stability problem. They have many other issues. But our carbon dioxide, it's going in the atmosphere because we are using non-renewable energy sources. Now, according to IPCC, we have only 10 years left until we will do irreversible damage to our planet. Then we have no chance to recover the detrimental effect of global warming. Because these materials, they can also capture light. So like natural leaves, they can capture light. And we know that plants use carbon dioxide and light to make their food called glucose. So these materials, they can capture light, and in a proper setup, they can also reduce carbon dioxide into useful fuels like ethanol and methanol. So this is the beauty of these materials, and this process called artificial photosynthesis. Like natural photosynthesis, we can also reduce the concentration of carbon dioxide in the environment. Great, but these are all experimental yet. It's not commercially available. We need more technology to make this happen in the real world. All right, so these are the two things. We can generate energy from sun, we can reduce carbon dioxide, but most of the perovskite, which people have reported in the literature, they have very toxic element called lead and cadmium. Many photovoltaic material which convert sunlight into electricity, they have these two elements. And mostly they are lead based, and we know that lead is carcinogenic. According to World Health Organization, each year more than 1 million people die due to lead poisoning. So when I started my work, okay, I said we should make perovskite which are non-toxic. So we replace lead with relatively non-toxic elements like bismuth and tin. Now we have perovskite which can capture sunlight, which can convert sunlight into electricity. They can reduce carbon dioxide into useful sources, and they're also non-toxic. So this is a part of story, and it still needs more work to give benefit to the humankind. But I'm not here today to advertise myself or my research. I'm here to give few messages. And my messages are for everybody who is listening in the world. So this is an unraveling story, and I want to describe in a very simple way for the benefits of humankind. Global warming and climate change, they are not problem of one individual or one country. These are universal problems. If one country is consuming more non-renewable energy sources, mean they are making more carbon dioxide, it doesn't matter that it will not affect other countries. It will affect every country. And if some country is producing more chemical toxins, we know that ultimate fate of those toxins is our air, land, or water bodies. So these chemical toxins will reach everywhere. So we cannot escape from those problems if we don't work as a community or entity, and we should work together to solve these problems as a society. Second message which I want to give, science and technology, they always give benefits with passage of time. New technologies, they come in the world, and with the passage of time, they get mature, and then they start giving benefits to the humankind. Take the example of cell phone. Cell phone was not more efficient few years ago. Still, people were working to make technology better. But with the passage of time, this technology is really mature now, and we are getting benefits. So our cell phone is more faster than computer, which was few years ago. And third thing, we should also think as a society, we should reduce our dependence on the fossil fuels. Why? Because we are humans. We are the building block of this planet. If we are using more fuels, it means we are creating more problem to our environment. So we should reduce our dependency on these fuels, and then we can sustain life on this planet for long term. So these are the three big messages which as a society we should take, and we should collaborate more and more to develop new technologies that can help humanity. And I believe one day we will have 100% our energy from renewable energy sources, and then we can avoid our dependence on these non-renewable energy sources which are detrimental for our lives. So with that, it's a future and a countdown for a greener future, a better future, and a renewable energy future. So with that, thank you so much listening my talk.